What do we do with Rasheed Rice now that Patrick Mahomes has torn his ACL and already had surgery? So that means he's probably starting rehab tomorrow. You've got Rasheed Rice. This has been one of the best wide receivers for fantasy football since coming back from the suspension, and he draws an elite matchup. Elite matchup. Since week 10, Titans allow the second most PPR points to pass catchers, fifth most to the wide receiver position. They're allowing about 171 yards per game, receiving yards per game to the wide receiver position, 9.5 yards per play to wide receivers, which is, I always get confused how to say this. It's like the second worst or 31st in the NFL.
Yeah.
Not good, right? Prime matchup here for Rasheed Rice and the Kansas City Chiefs passing attack. But the quarterback is now Gardner Minshew. And the last time we saw him in a full-time role, 2024, he was 43rd in points per game, 9.6 points per game for Gardner Minshew across that season. And when targeting the slot wide receiver in particular in 2024, 31 slot wide receiver yards per game was 37th among quarterbacks with 5+ starts. Good completion percentage, third in completion percentage when throwing to the slot position, but he only threw to the slot about 5 times per game, 34th over that season in attempts to slot wide receivers. The matchup is prime. They should be able to throw the ball on Tennessee. With Patrick Mahomes, I think this could be very much a get-right spot for your Kansas City Chiefs. Matt, what do you do, man? We got Rasheed Rice here, and we got comfortable enough with the situations in Minnesota to tell people that you can't start Jefferson. We were comfortable enough with J.J. McCarthy's failures as a quarterback during that time period to not put Justin Jefferson in our lineups. Are we there already in a do-or-die situation with Rasheed Rice now that Gardner Minshew's the quarterback?
So I'm not going to say that I'm 0% concerned about Rasheed Rice because I think that'd be a little bit disingenuous. It's a backup quarterback. You just never know what you're going to get. But I'm pretty close to 0%, right? And I think there's a couple reasons why. And I think you bringing up Justin Jefferson, that's actually a really good kind of contrast here because like Jefferson is a wide receiver, Rasheed Rice is a wide receiver, but they don't play the game the same at all, right? I mean, in terms of where they're used, how they're deployed, you can show me their fantasy points, their overall volume stats. It doesn't matter. Like they are deployed in such different ways. Jefferson is that downfield number one, mostly he does move around, but he's mostly an X receiver. Like he's going to always draw the difficult matchups, the double coverage, all that stuff. Rasheed Rice, because his role is so singular and so unique and they manufacture so many touches for him underneath because he's so good against zone coverage and so good after the catch, he really can be insulated from some of those concerns. And one thing that really seals it for me, you remember the 2023 season with the Indianapolis Colts for Gardner Minshew. They were just running RPOs all day long with Gardner Minshew. And Michael Pittman in that 2023 season just ate on first read targets because I think he was like 7th that year in first read target share because that's what happens when you get RPOs. That number one read is going to just get pummeled. He's going to be he's always going to get those quick layup targets. This year, Kansas City, according to Fantasy Points data, has had 51 pass attempts with RPOs this year. The second place team is Pittsburgh at 34. Like they specialize in this stuff already. So even if Rasheed Rice, I think you got to dock him a little bit because it's Gardner Minshew taking over for Patrick Mahomes. I can't rank him outside of the wide receiver 1 range, even with Gardner Minshew under center. So I'm pretty close to like 0% concerned here.
Yeah, I feel you. I mean, you're going to play.
It doesn't sound like you do.
Like you're going to.
It doesn't sound like you feel me, but fair.
I think I am a little concerned because they can't run the football. The offensive line is banged up, and now you're just like this. It's just not good. It's not good. Gardner Minshew's not good. I don't give a damn if he's on Kansas City, if he's got Andy Reid or any of that. He's not good. The weaponry around him is not good. And, defensively, I'll just be like, I dare you to beat us with Gardner Minshew. We're gonna wall this off, and I dare you to beat us with Minshew. I agree, though, of all the pass catchers, I've got the lowest level of concern for Rice, but Worthy, I'm not playing that game at all. There's no upside there. Kelsey, this idea that Kelsey and Rice are going to be elite in this matchup. I don't know. I do not know. They should be. They should be. Patrick Mahomes was number one in the NFL in scrambles too, by a long shot. And look what happened to him, getting hit and banged up. I don't know what this offense looked like. I don't know if they ran RPOs because that was Mahomes, if that's what they really want to do. I don't trust Gardner Minshew. I love this has nothing to do with Rice. It has nothing to do with his role or his talent. The matchup is elite, so I would still play him. If this were any other opponent, I would be a little more hesitant. If it were anybody else, but this Titans passing defense is so porous to just get it to him. He doesn't need to run corner routes. He's not running any deep posts. Just get him the ball and let him operate in space. Worthy, those other guys, like I'm not messing with him. It's Rice for me. Kelsey a little bit lower down the line. I'd play some other guys over Kelsey. This just feels pretty deflating for Kansas City in general.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm not going to argue with you that it's deflating seeing Gardner Minshew as the starting quarterback, as we're showing on the screen right now, instead of Patrick Mahomes. But I do think just because of Rice's role, like this offense can be bad. They could even be on – I'm not going to say they're going to be on upset alert because it's still the Tennessee Titans and, you know, they've got a laundry list of problems here. But they could certainly be disappointing in this matchup with a really banged up offensive line. And I still think Rasheed Rice can come away with 8 catches in this game because he's going to get screens. He's going to get underneath stuff. So, yeah, is he a top 5 receiver play for me this week? No. Is he still somebody you're starting still kind of in that top 12
range?
I do think he still belongs there. A guy who was in that top 12 range last week, and I'm wondering what we do with him this week. Much different situation where he has not been a set it, forget it player. That's DJ Moore. DJ Moore set season highs in yards per route run at 2.3. He had a season high 3 end zone targets last week, one of which was obviously that insane Caleb Williams throw, one of the throws of the season. And air yard share, 37.9% air yard share was his highest of the season. However, his 16.7% targets per route was only the 7th highest rate for him on the season. And he has been a guy who's struggled to consistently get targets in this offense. And even that was the case this past week. And yet, Ray Garvin, Rome Odunze not practicing today with a foot injury. Luther Burden, ankle injury. He's not practicing. I think Rome, long shot for him to even play in this game. I wouldn't be surprised if Burden is out. So what do we do with DJ Moore, who's been one of the most disappointing players relative to ADP, just not been involved in this offense at all, but he's coming off this massive 2-touchdown game, more efficient on a per route basis than ever, and yet wasn't really highly targeted either. What do we do with DJ Moore in our lineups this week?
It was interesting watching that game because in that first quarter, he had 1 catch and it was the touchdown. And prior to that, it was like he wasn't on it almost felt like they subbed him in once they got to the goal line. Like, all right, DJ, we got to play for you. You're going to run this deep across the end zone crosser and we're going to hit you, for a touchdown, right? They're going to be in man. It seemed like they just brought him in for that play. And then he was nowhere to be found in that first quarter. Then he got some looks, got a look in the second quarter, a couple in the third. There's no consistent option in this offense, Matt. There isn't. It's some weeks he gets some targets and he scores, and then other weeks you get -4 yards in the receiving game from DJ Moore. I'm not encouraged by his participation on the field when he was out there. I want to see him on the field involved more. And it felt like watching the game, the priority was like, let's get Luther Burden going. Let's try to get this young playmaker the ball. Let's give Colston Loveland some shots. What do you do with DJ Moore? Who do they play? Who do they got this week? Who do the Bears play this
Packers
week?
Rematch. No Micah Parsons, though.
I mean, how did he... No Micah Parsons. That absolutely helps. I'm looking at, this was the damn game. He had 1 catch, -4 yards. I wouldn't bet on that again. I don't know, Matt. I guess for me, it would depend on what other options I have. I think he's in play. He's absolutely in play, even against the Green Bay defense, but this is a defense without Parsons. I think he's in play, but I'm not. Where are you at with him?
Yeah, I think he's still a very boom bust wide receiver 3. Ben Johnson after that Packers game said, he was surprised that he came away with the stat line that he had. You mentioned the 1 catch for negative yards. He said, because I felt like we had more drawn up for him than anybody else going into that game. And I was like, really? Because they never have anything drawn up for DJ. They never have anything like, and I look, I kind of get it. I just don't think he fits this offense. I've said that kind of all year long. And I don't think that the absence of Odunze really changes that. Maybe the absence of Burden, they just got to throw him the football more. They got to get him going on some of those plays, because that's really some of where their skill sets overlap is in the run after catch game. And I think right now Burden just has way more juice than DJ Moore does. I mean, even if you just look at the first half of last week's game, 33% target share. It's a small sample. It's 2 quarters, but 33% target share for Luther Burden, 16.7% for DJ Moore. I think it's pretty clear where this is going. DJ Moore's not going to be on the team next year. Luther Burden's going to be one of the top 2 receivers alongside Odunze. But listen, next year's thing. Like, they got to win this football game to compete for the division, to continue to cement the playoff spot, all that stuff.
Matt, 14 minutes ago, Bears listed wide receivers Rome Odunze and Luther Burden as non-participants in today's walkthrough practice. From Adam Schefter, 14 minutes ago. There it is right there on the screen. Okay, Harmon, they're out. No Odunze, no Burden, and they didn't list Cole Kmet, who also left that game with a knee injury. It might be DJ Moore season here versus Green Bay, or Loveland, or Zacchaeus. That you brought this up, and now we got to deal with this. Like, they're out. Do you have more confidence in Moore from that wide receiver 3 boom bust to trusting him versus Green Bay?
I think if Odunze being out doesn't matter to me. Like, we've already seen that doesn't really affect DJ's role. But I think that Burden, if he is out, that would probably cause me to bump DJ Moore up from like wide receiver 35 or 37, something like that. That definition of where he's been this year, which is he's either going to give you a massive week or he's going to give you absolutely nothing. I might then bump him inside my top 30 receivers. But even then, I mean, you're going to run into some names that are just in better spots than he is against softer secondaries, and there's more like bankable, proven roles.
I hear you. I know it's a tough dichotomy that a lot of people are going to have to answer this week. And I want to throw this out there and get your quick take on this. Do you think that the fact that Odunze, and you know how this works, Matt, the fact that he was ruled out right before the game, that game plan was not created for him to miss.
Yeah.
Right?
That's true.
The game plan was prepared for Odunze to be on the field. So I just wonder, was some of DJ Moore's not being out there as much as, I mean, he was not supposed to be out there as much with Odunze and Burden on the field. I don't, that can go a multitude of ways, but if he was truly declared out right before the game, that game plan was messed up. Whatever the Bears' plan was, it was not what they practiced during the week.
No, that's a really good point. And that's why ultimately I think if we go this whole week and you don't see these 2 guys practice, like, that certainly benefits DJ Moore, but I think it just only benefits him so much. Like, to me, I look at this Bears offense going against this Packers defense, and I expect them to just try to run the piss out of the ball, man. Like, how many rush attempts can we get to Monangai and Swift? I think that will be the goal of this game.
You know who it doesn't help, Matt? It hurts Caleb Williams. We keep talking about who's those guys being. It's not good for Caleb Williams to have his best players off of the field.